Hi, welcome back to Hinduism Q&A. In this episode, we're going to look at what Sade Sati or Panoti is. In India, the mere mention of Sade Sati strikes fear into the heart of people. However, while Sade Sati is always karmic, it doesn't always have to be all bad. We should keep in mind that it's a test, as the unwinding of karma purifies our soul for future lifetimes. First, let me explain that the two planets that are involved in the determination of Sade Sati are the Moon and Saturn. The Moon is one of, if not the most important, yet sensitive planets in a horoscope. The Moon is assigned a prominent place in Vedic astrology because it represents mind and emotions. Due to its quick transitions, it affects our life more closely than any other planet. I know that the Moon isn't a strict planet, but in Sanskrit it's called a graha, as is Jupiter, Sun, Saturn. But the closest word in English we can use is planet. Saturn, on the other hand, is a big, heavy, cold, slow-moving planet. Saturn, also called Shani, is charged with the duty of dispensing karma, which has given him a bad reputation. In the same way that in a court of law, someone who is guilty of a crime won't really like the judge, the reality is that it's not the person who is presiding as a judge we fear, but rather the power the position wields. Shanidev is given the task to dispense karmic justice, but if not him, it would just be someone else. We look at the Moon in your birth chart and the Saturn in its current position in the sky today. If you don't have your birth chart and want to know if you're in Sade Sati, head over to my site at www.thejyotish.co.uk/chart and you can generate it there. You'll also find a link to this in the description below. What I'm going to ask you to do is to generate two charts. One with your birth detail and one for today's date. The time for today's one isn't important. Keep these at hand and I'll show you how to check later on. There are many websites that will tell you if you're in Sade Sati or not, but I'm going to teach you how you can check for yourself so you understand in more detail what it is. So now we understand the planets involved and hopefully have our charts, let's see what Sade Sati is. In our horoscopes, the Moon will be in a particular position at birth, placed in an area called a house, and in a sign, for example Aries. In a Vedic horoscope, these are the triangles and diamonds you see on the screen. So let's put the Moon on our blank chart in the first house. We can ignore the sign for now. This is the position of the Moon in the sky at the moment you were born, and is a very sensitive point. This placement forms part of your karmic blueprint that doesn't change throughout life. What does change is where the planets are at any given moment in time. By this, I mean where the planets are in the sky were you to look out your window right now. Astrologically speaking, these planets are constantly moving around you as a person on Earth, and therefore affecting you all of the time. How they affect you depends on where they were placed when you were born, and therefore their placement in your chart. A small analogy is, think of it like buying a portfolio of shares and property. The price you paid for them is now set in stone, and your statement when you purchase them is like your natal or birth horoscope. The prices of all of these shares change constantly, therefore so does your P&L statement. Your wealth is always changing, as is how you feel on any given day depending on your profit and loss. Sade Sati can be seen as your life going through a 7.5-year recession. All those who have had fun, lived a lavish life on large borrowings will feel the pinch. Those who have managed money well, saved and been sensible will ride it out and may even spot opportunities to make more money. Saturn can deliver the karmic equivalent of either or depending on karma of past lives. So when Saturn comes around and is in the sky where the Moon was when you were born, that is the very peak of your Sade Sati. Sade means half and Sati means 7. So the period this lasts for is 7.5 years, or rather 3 periods of 2.5 years each. It begins when Saturn enters and transits the house before your Moon, peaks when it is in the house containing your Moon. Incidentally, as it passes directly over the Moon, we should be very careful of our mother's health and the relationship with our mother, as the Moon represents mother, and ends when it exits the house after your Moon. Each phase affects different parts of our lives, such as finance, health and relationships. The results of each phase also depends on the charan or legs that Saturn comes on, such as copper, gold, silver or iron, as that will determine if it is a good or bad period. But for me to advise on that, it requires an analysis of your specific birth chart, so we can't do that here. Saturn, being a cold heavy planet, takes a toll on the Moon, who cannot handle that energy. So at its peak, when it moves directly over your moon, which is your emotional mind, it can cause stress, low moods, depression, anxiety, fear, and health concerns. During this 7.5 period, Saturn delivers its maximum force to unwind your karma from previous lives. It is a time when it's very important to remain on your best behaviour. Think of it like police monitored CCTV installed in your house. Everything must be done honestly, through hard work, no gambling, cheating people, backbiting, tax fiddling and the like. Things like service, charity, hard work, abstaining from eating meat, abstaining from alcohol can be helpful. We want to pacify Saturn rather than aggravate him during this period. To check if you are in Sade Sati, take the 2 charts you generated. First, check the sign that Saturn is in on today's chart. In our example, it's in the house labelled 10, which is the number for Capricorn. Now on your personal chart, find 10 and mark it. If this falls with or either side of the moon, then you're in Sade Sati. In our example, we're not, as moon is in 3 and Saturn would have to be in 2, 3 or 4 for you to be in Sade Sati. It'll be some time before Saturn moves around to get into position. At the end of Sade Sati, you will come out a better person, forged in fire and with the patience of a saint. Much of the clutter in your life will have been disposed of, lots of karma will have been burnt off, so don't go creating more negative karma. Look at it as a new start in life. There are many remedies that can help ease the Sade Sati period. Many of them depend on the horoscope, but general ones can be by holding Saturday sacred, so no drinking on that day, and fasting if you can. The worship of Lord Hanuman is very beneficial, as he has the blessings of Shanidev that his devotees will have a lessened impact. Listening to Sundarkand or chanting Hanuman Chalisa is very beneficial. Thank you for watching and see you next time.